who control that particular importation business of oil. Now the question will be, what is the guarantee that when finally we free up this market, this same cartel will not be operating at such a level that even the government will not be willing to prosecute them? Will the government have the will to make a very strong regulatory commission that would overlook the activities of this group of people who are obviously going to be very powerful? It's not the everyday man who goes into refining oil, is it?
Well, the interesting thing is that you are supporting government. The whole idea of removal of subsidy and removal of government is an assault on the cartel.
My point is this, sir. Let me get this straight. Okay. My point is not to support deregulation.
Yeah.
My point is that people are saying that government needs to stifle this cartel. That's what they're trying to do by removing subsidy. But the question will be, if you do not have the will to prosecute these people, will you say are actually stealing money? Because if you say that something is a fraud, it means that some people are making profit illegally. So if you do not have the will to prosecute them now, what is the guarantee that you will have the will to prosecute them when finally they constitute themselves into another cartel that is importing fuel and charging Nigerians at whatever rate they choose?
You see, let's not be emotional here. You have a policy that says you will give people money if they bring in oil. And you give them the money. Then you start complaining about giving them money. It's your policy. It's your decision. It's government policy to give them subsidy. Now, what we are saying is, people are saying it's a cartel. I don't believe it's a cartel because we know them. There are 40 or so marketing companies registered who collect the money through the bank. It is not done under the table. It's done above. It's above board. So when you say the will to prosecute them for giving them the money.
Okay.
You see, this whole thing is misunderstood. What we are saying is that you don't give them the money. Stop. You are very upset about giving them the money, so stop. That's really what government is saying. So if government hasn't got the will, why would the government go for the removal of the subsidy? What we are saying is that the 6 billion that government pays, who benefits from it? That's the question. Government
doesn't have the capacity.
Government has
to
the capacity.
Monitor those who are benefiting from it or who are.
We know them. The question of monitoring does not even.
If they have the capacity, why haven't they stopped them from benefiting from it?
No, why wouldn't they?
Fraudulently.
No, what you say is what is fraud? The fraud here is that they bring in petrol at a particular price.
Yeah.
They say, I have brought 10 million liters of petrol. At this, my price is 90 naira, whatever. The selling price that you have pegged is 65 naira. So you are bound to pay the difference. That's your decision.
No, but
so whether you call it fraud or anything else, it's another matter. It's your decision.
No, there's also another perspective. For instance, leaded fuel and in UK, for instance, we know there are two types.
Yeah.
But herein, it comes, and then it's a blanket rate for both of them.
Yes.
Where in some cases it should be subsidized. It should be different. It should pay different rates, actually.
Yeah.
And sometimes, NNPC doesn't import. They always import more than they have the capacity to store.
Yeah.
And if you store it in a private tank farm, does government actually... I mean, all of these things...
Obviously, you read Simon Kolawola's piece. Yes.
No, it doesn't even have to be Simon Kolawola's piece. We've been monitoring subsidy debate for donkey years in this country. In Obasanjo's time, there was fuel tax that was collected. What happened to the money? 2011, the coordinating minister tells the country there is no record of implementation of the 2011 budget. And government will say they want to take away these funds. And but where? When they don't have the capacity to even manage funds, implement budgets, MDAs, no capacity.
No.
Where all that money?
Why don't we remain focused? If you want to talk about budget implementation,
we're talking about government's capability and capacity.
Government has the capacity. You know, where you have problem, it is half solved. Now let the government deal with the problem. Everybody say, "Oh, do you have the capacity to deal with the problem?" That's really what we're saying. The government wants to deal with the problem. You are saying, have you got the capacity to deal with the problem?
You know why they ask?
That is why.
That is because of what has gone down in the past.
But that was not Jonathan's administration. He wasn't the president at that time.
Is a continuum.
It's a continuum, yes.
They see them all the same.
Different leaders have different approaches. They take issues differently. This president has come, he's looked at the books, he said this is not sustainable. He's having conversation with everybody. That's why we're having this debate. And he said the right way, the sustainable way, is to remove this issue. This is like cancer in our system.
What if Nigerians say no? What if Nigerians say no? If
you say no, then don't complain about the scam and the corruption and all that.
Why not?
But how do you deal with something? This is your policy. Subsidy is a policy. It's not law.
What's the government's palliative measures that they will say they want to put in place?
I prefer to use the word benefits of subsidy, not palliatives.
I'm using government's word. The president said it. I'm using his words.
Social safety nets.
Social safety nets. Benefits of deregulation.
What are they?
There are so many. One is the government has a program which will be unfolded of public works, support in transportation, public transportation, support for visible physical infrastructure projects, as well as support for maternal and maternal care.
Well, if we're speaking about projects, remember that, I can't remember the name of the chairman of that committee that government set up to look at all of these projects, over 7,000 of them.
Architect Ibrahim Bunu.
Till date, and government still talks about infrastructure. That's why people are cynical about some of these things that government says and does, because they think government says one thing and does another. Now, if you have all of those projects and then they still tell us,
can I tell you something?
Do the same thing again?
Credit must be given to where it's due. It's President Jonathan, when he became president, said, look, we have this mess. Let us take an audit of what we have on ground. And this committee set up by Jonathan discovered that we have about 11,800 either abandoned or ongoing projects. Well, how did we get to that situation? The situation has arisen because, one, you have normally in budgets projects that have not been properly designed or costed. Two, because you have frequency of changes of either ministers or government, people come in, abandon existing projects, take on new ones. Three, you have issue of lack of adequate funding for our projects. So when you put all these factors together, you have the situation we now have in our hands. So currently, what the Federal Executive Council is doing is to review project by project, these 11,000, to know why they were abandoned. They were not abandoned by Jonathan administration, but he is doing the audit. It's been presented, but the committee is still analyzing and presenting to Federal Executive Council every other week.
I'm quite sure you speak with Nigerians on a daily basis, and you can even feel the urgency with which they want the government to do things. Otherwise, I think we wouldn't be talking about all of this. Recall during the elections, or before the elections, when INEC wanted some billions of naira, everyone said, hey, give it to them. So until the government shows that kind of will, we must go back to all of that, even though you say this administration is different from the other one. Until they get to show us that kind of will and show some kind of sincerity of purpose that truly this are achievable. In any case, is there anything the government is doing to sustain NNPC so that it doesn't go the same way as NITEL? If we say we're not good in managing our own affairs, are we going to leave that cash cow that has sustained all of us as a nation to go down if subsidized?
Well, thank you very much. You see, when you talk about INEC, when Jonathan said, I will give Nigeria a different kind of election, nobody believed him. But he did it. When he said, I'm going to change a number of things, including petrol, PIB, people, it's not been passed. When it's all done, you see a different country. He campaigned on the mantra of transformation. These are all part of transforming the way government does its business. He has to be given credit for all the bold steps he's taken. And this subsidy debate is one of those. There's also ongoing debate about change of constitution and all that. It is all part of the transformation. So you have to look at his track record and say, he said he would do this. Did he do it? He said